Mom called for my arrest after I caught her cheating with her church parishioner and exposed her text messages. My mom is 45 years old, and my dad is 48 years old. They have been married for 23 years. My dad is a very calm and quiet person, and my mom has been in charge of managing our home for a while, even though my dad earns the money for our family. As far back as I can remember, I've seen my mom treat my dad without respect. It reached a point where he has been treated badly for so long that he just allows it to happen and doesn't pay attention to her behavior. If you look at pictures of my dad when he was young, you'd see a really happy expression on his face. But as they've been married for a longer time, that happiness has started to fade away. If you searched for the word narcissist, I think you'd see a picture of my mom. My mom and I have a relationship that's a mix of love and conflict. Sometimes, we argue so much that she tells me to leave the house, and I end up staying at my boyfriend's or relative's place. One Saturday, I slept in because I had spent time with my boyfriend the night before. When I woke up, I realized that everyone had left the house. I sat down in the living room to watch TV, and I noticed that my mom had left her phone on the couch. I was curious, so I unlocked her phone and saw some unread text messages. One message stood out to me. I opened it and read through it, and what I saw really surprised me. It was clear that she had been seeing another man secretly for many years. The messages were long conversations about meeting up, flirting, and even my mom sending pictures of herself wearing very little clothing. It seemed like she was the one starting things, and sometimes he wanted to stop it, but they would start talking again. They didn't really hide their affair because everything was clearly written in the text messages. I felt really mad, not just because of the betrayal, but also because it felt like my mom was being two-faced. She had always given me a hard time about having a boyfriend, but all this time, she had been cheating on my dad with this man for what seemed like a really long time. I took lots of pictures and went through everything again. I was really close to my older sister, and she had her own place. So, I called her, and she was also surprised by what I found out. The affair was still happening. My sister thought we should let Mom tell Dad the truth, but I didn't think she would do it, so I didn't agree. The next day, I went back to college without telling my dad about any of this. Then, I got a text from my mom saying sorry that I didn't want to talk to her. I was confused, so I messaged my sister to ask if she knew what my mom meant. My sister said she had talked to Mom, but Mom denied cheating. While I was texting my mom, she said she wasn't having an affair, she said she was just visiting a therapist. I didn't tell her that I had evidence of her affair, but I did let her know I had seen the messages. She tried to say those messages were with her therapist, but I knew she was lying because I had seen the truth. Just to be certain, I looked up information about the guy involved. I was surprised to find out that the man had a girlfriend and kids from a past relationship. He also shares religious writings on his Facebook, so he might be someone important in the church, the same church my mom attends. I guess that's where they met. When I realized that my mom wasn't going to admit her affair, I called my dad and told him about it. But I didn't show him any evidence. I thought my dad might talk to my mom about it, but he didn't. As I mentioned earlier, my dad wasn't the kind of person to confront things directly. My mom figured out that my dad knew about the affair when she noticed he seemed sad for some reason. She kept asking him to tell her what was wrong. Eventually, my dad told her that he knew about the affair because my sister and I had informed him, although we didn't show him any proof. I wasn't there to see their conversation, but I knew my mom had a way of influencing my dad because she could easily persuade him. After my mom had lied to my dad about seeing a therapist and accused me of invading her privacy, I texted her and let her know that I had evidence of her affair. That's when my mom understood that things wouldn't be easy for her this time. The worst thing my mom did during all of this was asking me to erase the evidence from my phone. She also said that if I wanted to return home, I needed to say sorry and remove the things from my phone. I also talked to my grandma about what happened. I'm not surprised or upset that she's taking my mom's side. I do think my grandma might have known about my mom's cheating, or at least that she wasn't happy with my dad. This whole situation has been really stressful, and I'm relieved that I could tell my dad about it and get it off my chest. Honestly, my main focus is to support my dad the most. I wasn't really concerned about going back home because I could live with my boyfriend if needed. I noticed that my mom had turned everyone against me when my aunt told me it was wrong to check my mom's phone without talking to her first. My aunt said that my parents were happy and that my mom did a lot for me and my siblings when we were growing up. Also, she asked if I had a reason for doing all this, but I couldn't really explain because she didn't know how things were when I was growing up at home. She suggested that I should talk to my mom to work things out and didn't really want to take sides in our family matters. My mom got upset with me for sharing my side of the story, saying that I was revealing our family issues to others. It's another example of her being two-faced, because she used to tell my relatives that I was misbehaving and looking through her phone. She also said she was going to therapy when she was actually having an affair. I chose to show my dad all the proof I had, so he could understand that my mom was not telling the truth about her affair. The next day, while I was still at school, my mom phoned me, and our video call didn't go well at all. My boyfriend was with me to help me stay strong, but I don't think I've ever felt so scared and shaky. My mom basically tried to make me believe that this was my mistake and that I shouldn't have gotten involved. She didn't admit or deny cheating on my dad, but she kept talking about how I shouldn't have looked at her phone. She even almost said she'd call the police to have me arrested when I got back from school. I managed to find the courage to tell her that I was ready to face the results of being kicked out, because it was worth it for my dad to finally know about the affair. She kept saying that my dad didn't need to know how content he was. My mom also brought up that she felt ignored by my dad, but even if that were somehow true, it doesn't make cheating right. Before we ended the call, she said she still loves me and asked if I wanted to speak to my dad. I said yes after a little while. When I finished the call, my boyfriend was really shocked at how my mom tried to blame me for her own wrongdoings. Anyway, I had a video call with my dad, and some of the things my aunt and mom had said about him weren't accurate. My dad said he was still thinking about whether he should leave or not, and he wasn't angry with me at all. Before calling my mom and aunt, my sister had already talked to my dad's older brother and let him know. My mom got mad at my sister for sharing our private matters with our extended family. But my dad wasn't angry that we told his brother, so that made me feel a little more relieved. After that, I returned from school and had to take my things out of my parents' house. I stayed at my boyfriend's place for around a week and a half, and then I brought some of my clothes to a friend's house that's closer to my job. I didn't quit my job because it has really good benefits that I wouldn't find elsewhere. While I was at school, my mom mentioned she was removing me and my sister from her health insurance. I've been looking for a new apartment and a car until last week. It's been a tough month, but I kind of anticipated it going this way. I'll be meeting my dad, sister, brother, and uncle this weekend at a family gathering, so hopefully, we can come up with a plan to help my dad. My brother told me that my mom and dad have been having frequent arguments, and it seems like he's starting to see how tricky she can be. Of course, I'm not there to witness what happens behind closed doors. But I think my mom's situation isn't going very smoothly, and her attempts to confuse and manipulate might not be successful anymore. Honestly, my mom is really harmful and doesn't face any punishment for what she does. I believe this might be the consequences of catching up to her at last. It doesn't help that my mom never says sorry for what she does, even when she knows she's done something bad. This has been the way she acts since I was little. My main focus is to mainly help my dad during this time. My brother mentioned that our dad has seemed really down lately. I know it's been really tough for him, finding out about what my mom has been doing. They've been together for more than 23 years, so it's a lot to handle. I believe the main challenge for him is sorting out money and finding a new place for him and my brother to stay. It's probably a bit easier for him since he knows my sister and I can take care of ourselves. I might have an advantage since she doesn't know how much I know about her affair. I'm still deciding if I should expose the person she had the affair with and how I would go about it if I choose to. She hasn't even admitted to cheating and is still saying she didn't do anything wrong. I'm really upset because I was texting her last night about my dad giving me a ride to work, and she brought up how this could be avoided if I delete the evidence and say sorry for checking her phone. I'm hoping my dad will eventually consider divorcing her or at least find a solution for my sister and me. So, my dad, my sister, and I are going on a family trip to take a break from my mom. She's not happy about it. I also learned that my mom and dad have been arguing about me because she doesn't want me to be around anymore, but my dad disagrees. I think my dad might want to divorce my mom, but there seems to be something making it hard for him to make that decision. I feel really sad that my dad doesn't speak up for himself as much as I want him to. I still think my mom isn't taking responsibility for what she did. While I was in school, I realized my mom managed to see the evidence I sent to my dad's phone, but my dad never got the proof I sent. I thought he had seen it. I also found out that my mom didn't want me to spend time with my dad because she knew I might reveal more about her actions. I didn't think I needed to show my dad the evidence again because he already believes my sister and me about my mom's affair. During the trip, we avoided talking about my mom because we were trying to take a break from her and focus on being together. I eventually talked to the girlfriend of the person my mom had an affair with, and she appreciated me showing her all the proof. I understood that she ended things with my mom's affair partner because my mom called me angrily, saying I was spreading lies about her and even wishing I wasn't her child. I could tell that it hurt my mom a lot that her affair partner had ended things, because everything had become a big problem for him. It was clear that my mom was more affected by her affair partner ending things than by seeing my dad feeling sad about it. My brother told me that my mom and dad are not sharing the same bedroom right now. The reason my dad is unsure about getting a divorce is because it could affect his retirement and everything he has. I can tell he's feeling down, and I try my best to make him feel better by checking on him whenever I can. I really hope he decides to divorce my mom, because he's not happy in this loveless relationship. I wish he'd realize that my mom needs him more than he needs her, and that he finds the courage to divorce her and experience what a happier life could